Viewpoint, a presentation of the News and Public Affairs Department of AM 1490 WHPV. We welcome your input on the issues of the day. You can contact us on the Viewpoint line by calling 875-1490. The opinions expressed by our callers and guests do not necessarily reflect those of the management and staff of AM 1490 WHPV. And now, here's today's.
And good morning and welcome into the Friday morning viewpoint for this Friday morning, August the 15th, 2025. I'm your host, Randy Williams, and we are 11 days away from August the 26th, the election. And we have in the studios with us as our guest one of the candidates for mayor of Selma. He's no stranger to the WHBB of Selma audience, and that is Mr. Skip Moss, Johnny Moss III. Good morning, Mr. Moss. How are you,
Good morning,
sir?
Randy. Good morning, Randy. Thanks for having me today. Long time, but I'm excited to be here and finally got a chance to come in here and visit with you.
Yeah.
It's been busy walking the streets and campaigning. It's been
Is
quite busy these last couple
is it
days.
cool enough for you?
Man, it's so hot. Hey, it was a couple of weeks ago. We had a little breeze, and
Right.
now I was driving over on the radio. They said the humidity is back.
Oh,
And so, but I got to get out there. I got some more doors I need to knock on, some more neighborhoods and people I need to see. So we just I've lost 10 pounds since I started.
I don't know if you can afford to lose 10
Hey,
pounds.
I could a
You
little
know?
bit.
Yeah,
I actually feel better though. I'm a lot. I
Really?
feel healthier. I start walking.
Right.
Last Saturday, I think I walked almost 7 miles.
Hmm.
And you don't realize how large these neighborhoods are. And you start walking, and then you're not just walking, you're walking to the door, and walking back, and then going to the next house and walking to the door.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of. I don't know whose idea was to do these campaigns in the summer.
Exactly.
I don't know who said these dates.
Exactly.
I understand Tuscaloosa is like in the spring or March, something like that.
Yeah.
It would be at least more comfortable.
And you're in the heat of the summer, and then July and August.
Oh
Those are the hottest months of the year. So.
But then you'd probably have more people running if it wasn't as hot.
Exactly.
You got to really want the job to run this time, huh?
Yeah, you got to really.
So let's back up and because we do have a lot of new people who have moved into Selma, and then we've got folks who've been here forever. But let's start from the beginning. Tell us your background and tell us about your. We got to talk about your father and your folks and where you went to school and what you presently do and how you got to where we are today.
Yeah. So I'm born and raised here in Selma, Alabama. I went through public school system, Edgewood. Well, I started at Bird in kindergarten, and then Edgewood, West Side, Selma High School. Graduated in 1990, infamous class of 1990, where we had some
problems,
unique circumstances beyond the student's control.
Right.
Now, as an adult, you realize that a lot of it was political,
right.
and you understand the political pull and strain on the city and how that affects the city economically.
There was a tragic. I hate to use the term tragic. Right. It may be a little more dramatic, but it was a pivotal, key moment in our history that we're still recovering from.
We're still recovering and suffering.
And suffering from. And the thing that bothered me about it is, I was in a conversation here recently about integration and race relations. The reality is, Selma really, for the first 20 years, from 1971 to 1990, we had made the adjustment. Black and whites were getting along. Segregation had worked. And so now they just turned all of that around, just polarized the community, and now we're having to start over. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and not to shift gears, but at that time, Selma High School was probably 50, maybe 55% black, 45% white.
Right, in 90.
But students were moving, and they were coming over to Selma High School, and it was a different Selma. And that's why I view Selma so differently, because I wasn't raised with, in this
all black
in this segregated town.
Right.
And that's why, I'm able to, just after graduation, I went on to Tuskegee University, majored in finance. After that, I went to Atlanta, Georgia, worked for Norfolk Southern. Norfolk Southern as an account representative, account executive for about 3 years. And my mom was a high school teacher, and well, not a high school teacher, but she was an educator all her life. And I guess I had that bug in my system. And I came back home, and I actually taught math at middle school and high school for 10 years. Coached middle school football.
Well, that should have been a big drop, though, from Norfolk Southern as an account rep to come back to Selma, from Atlanta to Selma. That's a big.
But I'm just a hometown guy. I enjoy just the simplicity of home. Atlanta was a big city at that time.
It still is.
It still is.
It's bigger now, huh?
Bigger, a lot bigger. I don't even like traffic in Selma, so imagine.
Atlanta, oh Lord, I'm the same way. I hate to admit it, but I don't even want to go to Montgomery. Yeah. Put a pin in that. We need to take a quick break and head down the street to Cornerstone, where Jewel Williamson is sitting with us. How are you, Jewel?
And a finer family you couldn't find, and a better student you couldn't find. So I'm going to take just a tiny, tiny little sliver of credit for his success.
Well, he's laughing. He's laughing and smiling as you take the credit.
I won't tell you the other story about we had a student's rate, and it was called the Wedding of the Flowers. And he had the main part that he was the groom in the wedding. So I remember that very well. I can still see him when he was 5 years old. But talking about real estate, we've got a lot of things for sale. There is a great new listing on Pinehart Drive. If you don't know where that is, it's over in West Selma. You could call Kevin Barnes, he's the listing agent, or you could call any agent, as Kent Woodruff says, call your favorite realtor, and they can get you in to see that house. It is ready to go. There's nothing to be done on Pinehart, and he's got it priced right, priced to sell. So give us a call. I was looking. We've got a lot. We got a lot of lots in different places in Selma and Dallas County, all across the county. We had, I believe it was around 15 acres, and we couldn't even they didn't even let the ink get dry before Annie Montgomery had a buyer on that. So our agents are busy. We have about 11 agents who are experienced, and they can help you with whatever you've got. If you've got a need, a man came in the office yesterday and he said, I'm looking for, and I could hook him up right with the agent that he needed to work with. If you have somebody that you want to work with, just give us a call and we can help you. We can help you get pre-qualified. That's something that is very important. It makes your work a lot easier, but this guy says, y'all are so good to work with, I'm coming back. So that was a good thing for Cornerstone, and give us a call at 872-0441 or come by 519 Lauderdale Street. But also, Randy, I'm a member of the Selma Dallas County Historic Preservation Society. Got a lot of stuff in the news lately about having to tear down some of the houses that were damaged in the tornado. Now, we didn't do that tearing down. We try to preserve, but sometimes I guess there are things that just can't be saved, but we do try our best to save these historic structures. Getting around to, we have our annual salad luncheon this coming Wednesday. Now, these salads are homemade, and they're not just green salads. They're meat salads, they're Jill salad, green salad, all kinds of salads. It's things that you can't even think about. They're on that table, or you can come by and pick up a plate to go. The plates are $15 if you want to eat in. Or if you've got more than 6 people that you want to serve, we can deliver those plates to you. So give me a call on that. It's this coming Wednesday, August the 20th, at the Presbyterian Fellowship Hall on Lauderdale Street. $15 a ticket, so give me a call on that. I don't think I've got but about 6 tickets left, and I would love to sell the rest of them. So give us a call, 872-0441.
Well, thank you so much, Jewel. And I guess we'll talk to you the next time. You should stay out of this heat. Try to minimize this heat.
We will do, and we'll keep listening.
All right, thank you so much. That was Jewel Williamson at Cornerstone, and so ironically, that was one of your teachers, huh?
Well, and she's still teaching me. Actually, I'm an agent at Cornerstone.
Oh,
So she was my kindergarten teacher, and then I've been in the real estate business for almost 4 years, and so I'm an agent at Cornerstone as well. So.
did you have to take take the
Yeah.
test and become a
Yeah,
licensed realtor?
licensed realtor.
What was that like? How long did it take you to do that?
It takes. I took a class. It was kind of a hybrid class. It took about 2 months.
That's
And
not
then you
bad.
take the test. And,
You have to know the law and,
yeah, you know the laws
and procedures and all that kind of stuff, huh?
and all that. So yeah.
Now, when did you first become interested in politics? Because you ran for school board president,
Right.
huh?
So
Was that your first time running?
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, I ran for um, city council in 90. I think it was 96. I think this was in 1996, and I ran against Susan Youngblood
Oh,
in Ward Two,
oh,
and I think the seat was the incumbent wasn't running. I think that was
it was an
Kane.
open seat.
I think it was Kane.
Reed Kane?
Reed Kane.
Yeah.
I think it
Oh,
was
okay,
open
right.
seat. So Susan and I both ran, and she was successful, and she went on for 2 3 terms, I think. And then I just kind of I started raising kids and had family, and um, then 9 years ago I decided to run for city school board president actually, and so this is my second term. This is my second election citywide. School board it's not as it's a very important election, but people kind of depending on the mayor election or the school board election. I think this one's going to be a very interesting school board election, especially in the presidency. So you got two great candidates running, Curtis and Mac. But I just don't remember it being this. I don't want to say challenging, but
intense.
It was intense. But I did walk a lot especially my first term, because I replaced Henry Hicks.
Well, the school board president and the mayor are slightly different. It's a different level of intensity, and the issues are a little different, and maybe even just for me in terms of perception. You know what I mean? And so we're in such a critical state, which brings me to the next question: why are you running for mayor?
Okay, exactly. Really, my real estate role kind of put me well in working in real estate, driving the streets, as Jewel was talking about, a lot of abandoned houses, a lot of properties. I started driving the streets every afternoon looking for properties for investors, looking for properties. You have flippers, you have renovation, you have home buyers, and just seeing the disparity and the neglect that I see.
Wow.
Driving the street, you see the potholes, you see the abandoned properties, you see the neglect in certain areas, certain wards. And I prayed about it. It took a month. I didn't tell anybody what I was thinking about. I didn't tell my wife, I didn't tell my family, and I just wanted to make sure that that was something that God had placed in my heart.
Mm.
and to make sure that I was moving in the right direction. And so that's really what
What
got me,
prompted you, huh?
what prompted me.
Mm-hmm.
And we mentioned the school board and the mayorship, they're being a lot different, but they're so connected
Mm.
because as a school board president, right now, Mackey, Superintendent Mackey discussed that. I think you had the highest number of retirees in the state of Alabama this past year.
Wow.
And so now recruiting and retaining teachers is so difficult because the numbers are dwindling and everybody is competing for that same talent.
Wow.
And so we have to compete with who? We have to compete with Montgomery. We have to compete with Proud.
And they're probably paying more, huh?
Well, we're paying a competitive salary.
Oh, okay.
But the quality of life. So
yeah, the city that you live in, huh?
You live in,
yeah.
If you're trying to recruit young teachers, they look at retail.
Right.
They look at
where to go to
where
eat,
to go to
the
eat.
restaurants,
You
and
know,
where to
go
shop,
go to happy hour after work.
wow.
And raising families.
Mm.
And so you look at it as two different entities, but they're so well connected. They're so connected. And the importance of making sure that the city is functioning correctly, it benefits the school system. We have to deal with, I tell people, a school is a microcosm of your community. So if you have a violent community, you have violent schools. If you have trauma in the community, you have trauma in the school.
Right.
If you have poverty in the community, you have poverty in the schools.
Right.
And so we're dealing with those students and teachers. That's why it's so hard for teachers because they aren't just teaching. They have to be a social worker. They have to be a mother.
My father.
They have to be a caregiver.
A priest.
A father.
Nurse.
And it just puts a lot on teachers.
Wow. Yeah.
And so, we've got to make sure that our community is better and is providing a better quality of life. And then we can mold these students and these scholars to be better.
So that you'll know, Facebook. We have our internet is down here at the station in my in this particular studio, but I am videotaping this interview. It will be uploaded on the selmapostherald.com website and on the Selma Post Herald YouTube channel as well. Now, I talked to a lot of people over the years in different positions, and people run for office for different reasons, and then they campaign on a platform, but a lot of times I hear people use platforms that the position that they're running for, if they get it, they really can't do anything about what they're saying they're going to do something about.
Right.
So, in your position as a mayor, if you were to be elected as a mayor, uh, how would you be able to help Selma improve? What's your vision?
Right. So one of the visions I have is unified city government. We cannot continue to move the city forward with divisiveness and disconnect between the mayor and the council. The unique role that I have as board president, I understand the functionalities of both the superintendent who just left here and the board. The board sets policies, and we try to work together to create shared policies and shared vision, and everyone has to buy into that shared vision. But the superintendent runs the day-to-day operations of the school, and there has to be a clear distinction. Much like the council and the mayor's position. The mayor runs the day-to-day operations, and I'm aware of the things that I can do as mayor. And I'm aware of the things that the council has to do, and there has to be a clear set of roles and responsibilities. Council votes on ordinances, council votes on laws, and the mayor's job is to operate and function accordingly. But I think there needs to be a shared vision and shared collaboration between both parties in order to move the city forward. My platform is very simple. It's based off three pillars. One is unified government. I want to be a mayor that goes to work sessions, that goes to city council meetings. I want to create an environment that is conducive to us talking out issues, compromise, working together to create a shared vision so that everyone can move forward. Um, I think that's very important. I think that's the only way we're going to move Selma forward. So, having said that, we want to create a clean Selma Now campaign. but we go into every ward. I've already done a lot of the homework. What I'm talking about as a realtor, I know the wards, I know,
Mm.
what's needed, and as I walk in the streets, we want to go into each ward, every ward once a week, and we know we can't clean up the entire ward, but we can assess where we need to start. We can assess how many abandoned homes there are. We can assess how many potholes, how many overgrown lots, how many illegal dumping areas there are. And then we come back and we create a plan of action, how we attack some things. For instance, why would you tear down one isolated structure if you have six that are in one block in one ward? Economically and financially, it makes more sense to tear down all six
Mm.
at a time as opposed to one. And so we want to make sure that we use the law to our advantage to make sure that we're tearing down some of these properties. Crime and safety. We just mentioned that Wallace has a very new president that's out there, Anita Griffin. I think it was important that we this position was important that we had someone local. She understands the needs of our community. She understands what's going on in Wallace that she can continue to implement those plans. It's going to be very important that the city and Wallace work together. We are fortunate to have a community college here in our area. There are other cities and other rural areas that would die to have a community college there.
But not just the community
Right,
college,
right.
but Dr. Mitchell is a jewel. He was a blessing
was a
to
blessing.
Selma,
He's a blessing to all of us. He's a blessing to me. I worked for him for 20 years.
Mm.
I learned a lot. He kicked my butt a lot, but it was all preparing me for destiny, for better things in life. He's a no nonsense gentleman. He knows how to handle business. I've just learned a lot from his budget experience, his leadership, and I think that's very important. So what we need to do is we've got to make sure that our citizens, we have a lot of citizens that are underemployed and unemployed. And so the community college in the state is really putting investment into workforce development. And so day one, Donita and I have been friends for since high school, but we've been colleagues for over 20 years. And I think it's going to be important to bring her to the table, and so that we can start providing skills training for our citizens, because that's the only way we're going to change the quality of life. That's the only way we're going to be able to move our city forward. And we always talk about green jobs and green jobs, but we got to ensure that we have the workforce that's available for the job recruitment. And so I think if we can tie that in and say, okay, Selma, we've got 250 credentialed citizens that are employed, we can utilize those numbers to attract business and industry. And with the state, with ADECA, with the Department of Labor, with my state connections, these are connections that I've built over 20 years. The state is putting emphasis on workforce development. And the unique thing about it, if we go to ADECA or the community college system and say, okay, we've got a company interested in bringing the aviation program. They're going to provide us with the tools necessary to train our citizens to get them ready for that job.
Mm.
We've got to change the mindset. We've got an aviation program that Wallace just initiated. Craig Airport Authority, aviation maintenance, air traffic controller training.
Mm.
And so these are all entities that the community didn't know about. And so we've got to bring the people to the table that can get us over the finish line and make sure that we're training our citizens for better jobs.
Mm. Now, Wallace is also a bright spot, one of the brightest spots cosmetically
Right.
in Selma. It looks good. You got the cosmetics, and it would be good if we could spread that kind of a look throughout the entire city.
Right.
But every person that I've talked to about when we talk about improving the way Selma looks, it comes back down to money.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts on, or what are your thoughts on being able to identify new sources of revenue? Do you have any plans how do you plan to address funding and generating income?
Well, we wanted the first order of business is to have a financial audit. Go back going back and addressing, where you have waste, where you have overspending, and put a plan in action to kind of cut some costs and to make sure that we're functioning effectively and efficiently. This may mean doing an operational audit on the public works department, just to see that we're maintaining efficiency through all of our areas. I know you can't always hire your way in out of way of issues. Sometimes I'm a very data-driven person. I work in institutional effectiveness. I understand strategic development and strategic planning. And sometimes you have to go and assess how many employees do you need. Because you just can't say, I need 20 more employees. You've got to show the council the numbers and why you need 20 more employees. Because after you assess it and you take an overall operational analysis of it, you may only need 5. If you only need 5, maybe we can increase the pay for the other employees and $2 or $3 to be able to attract some other.
So in other words, having people do more with less type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not duplicating
services.
Mm-hmm.
Duplicating services. We were asked this question at a forum: would you raise taxes? And I said, and I specifically said that we would have to go in and address the needs, because when you say taxes, that doesn't mean you can't just say you're not gonna raise taxes, because you can raise taxes on cigarettes, you raise taxes on vendor fees or licensing and other things.
Mm-hmm.
So when people say taxes,
not just property taxes.
So there are other means of taxation, and it would be wise to just say let me get into the office and think about it, or
and see
assess what's going on.
Right.
Because tourism fees. There are other entities, light fees. I think if we start initiating light fees, we probably could raise $500,000 in the city itself. Also, licenses. You see people drive around with suspended license or tag
or no tags.
No tags. So code enforcement fees, and so there are other mechanisms, and we have to be very aggressive with grants. You can't run a city out of grants, but grants do assist you as freeing up federal and state funds.
So that being said, as mayor, how much of that can you, as mayor, directly impact that or make those things happen?
Right. So, for instance, we want to be very effective or very
efficient
and aggressive on grant writing. One thing I learned from the college, for instance, I've been at college 20 years. I've probably been on grant funds for 8 out of the 20 years. So, for instance, I was responsible for a technology grant years ago, where we brought about $4 million into the college. Not only did we provide equipment and technology to the college, it freed up personnel costs. And so what happens, I don't care as an employee where my check is coming from. But if you can roll an entire, just because I was expending time on that grant, my entire salary budget, benefits and salary would free up the college's hard funds for soft money for 3 or 4 years. And so that's how you use grants. Use grants not only for technology upgrades and infrastructure upgrades or whatever the grant is assigned for, but you can also use those grants for to save the hard money from personnel costs. And so you got to be very strategic how you use your grant money.
Okay, now there are 15 or 16 different department heads. Let's talk about public safety in the police department and in the fire department. Do you have a position on the appointment powers? What you want to see that change? Can you work with it like it is? And how would you interact differently with the council?
Right. Well, I believe in gaining trust, and then the appointment powers would come back. I'm not going in there saying I need the appointment powers. I'm just going to uh, follow the law, and if the council deems necessary to provide those back to the mayor, then that's fine. But up until that point, we just work together and collectively to decide who continues to serve in those positions. you don't know public safety. I've been asked that question. Um, I don't know. I haven't gone in there. I haven't even had any interaction with
The
Chief
chief.
Fulford or the fire chief. And I believe in giving everyone the benefit of the doubt.
Mm.
I think we need to sit down and talk about my vision as a mayor, how we think we need to move forward as far as safety, and public safety, and fire safety, and then sit down and just collaboratively put together a plan that we'll follow, and then we will reevaluate it at another date. I believe in hiring people, providing all the support and resources, and then holding them accountable. And not holding them accountable through a press conference. I believe in following the proper procedures, lawfully procedures of personnel. And if things are HR matters, they should be handled as HR matters, as I would expect or respectfully wish someone would handle it in my regard.
Hmm. Okay, now, uh, other than public safety in terms of the police department and the fire department, what do you see as a critical need for the mayor to provide the city with if elected?
The day-to-day operations. I think
Mm.
critically, we need to ensure that all citizens are all services are provided to citizens effectively, efficiently, equitably. I believe that every ward needs different things. Ward one's needs are different from Ward eight, and you can do both. You can provide those services equitably to the citizens. And that's why it's important to kind of assess where we are, what the needs are, and then go back and put a plan in place to ensure that those services are being delivered equitably. And that goes back to accountability. I want to have, I will have no policy. Not only just
Walking
walking
anytime.
in there.
It's got to be organized.
Right. It's got to be organized
Protocol.
with protocol,
Mm-hmm.
with open door policy. And I'm a person that's I'm out. I'm out. I go to Walmart. I'm a very I want to be I will be a visible mayor. Uh, all 4 years from day one to the last day. I want to attend events. I want to open the door for you've got to be able to coffee with the mayor, and then some citizens can't make coffee with the mayor. We have lunch with the mayor. Some citizens who work, and you have maybe dinner or an event with dinner. So I want to make myself accessible to the community. Also want to go in each ward and start having ward meetings. But I want to go into those ward meetings with that council person
Mm-hmm.
to show some unity, to show what we're working together, to assess and address the needs of the citizens. And then we go back together again and start putting a plan of action how we assess those needs.
Some of the biggest complaints I hear, of course, are potholes,
Right.
Garbage collection, and
Right.
how do you since it's being outsourced, how can you enforce
Right.
that being collected on
Right.
time?
Right.
In these streets, we got the streets downtown. That's all well and good, but what about the rest of the city? So where are you on that?
Yeah. And that again goes back to the equitable services, and that's where we're going to spend most of our time putting together an operational plan that effectively addresses all of that. I was asking about the garbage. I don't know if that's a year one thing, but again, we'll be addressing it as we move forward. But that might be a change that we make after year two, and after you get in and assess and see if it's effective or not. And those are just the basic services. That's what we want to do. Just make sure that the basic services that overall impact the quality of life for our citizens are being handled effectively and efficiently.
Now, if you are elected as mayor, you'd have to come in and you'd have a learning curve, and that budget can be intimidating, I would think. How do you think you're going to be able to tackle that budget and then get on the same page with the council?
I've already started looking at those numbers. Right now, the city was at a $20,000 rainy day fund. My goal is in 3 years that should be a 3% or five. We should have 3% or 5% of our expenses saved. You never know what's going to happen.
Mm.
There are also some overspending in the council. We need to address that. to make sure that, and I think that's because council members were spending to do some things in their ward. So I think we need to address that. Everybody needs to be on the same page. There's some lack of spending in IT and city planning. The police budget was about at 42%. The city outside, it should be at about 38%. I think we can reduce some things in overtime and some efficiency in some other areas. And so I've studied the budget. I'm continuing to look at that. I want to, again, maybe eliminate some resources or combine some resources. Sometimes in an office, you may be able to move someone to another office to do some other things, not to knock any pay, but instead of hiring someone full time, maybe you can bump someone's salary up just a tad to give them some other duties. And so the budget is clear. Want to again work with the city council to make sure we establish a healthy budget, but we're going to have to make some cuts, and I already know that.
Yeah, well, from time to time, I hear people criticize and say, well, I think the administration is top heavy.
Right.
You got too many people being overpaid, or people being paid to do the same, job, and that kind of a thing. Do you have a way, or have you thought about how you would handle that?
Right. Again, just going in, taking the org chart, seeing where everyone's paid, seeing everyone's duties, just going back and looking at all of the duties assigned, deciding where we can combine some duties or some departments. First of all, you don't want to fire anyone, you don't want to get rid of anyone, but you want to make sure that it's done equitably and fairly. Um, um, and hopefully, once we look at that budget and our spending, we can find some things that we're spending too much, overspending, maybe overspending technology, reduce some of the waste. We want to make sure that our public works system, the payroll system is automated. From what I understand, these guys are signing in, and so you want to automate that system. And if you automate that system, then you assist the payroll system, and you may not need 5 people in payroll if
I got you. Yeah.
So just
What
going
makes
back,
sense?
what makes sense,
Common sense
what
is what
makes
it
common
sounds
sense.
like. Yeah.
And one of the things, working for the State Department, working for Wallace, I understand processes and procedures. I understand purchase order and requisition and spending. I understand bidding and financing, uh, technology and resources for the system. So we just want to put an efficient flow of information or flow of services in place, and so that we can operate efficiently, and that's how you save money.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a moment. Our guest this morning, Mr. Johnny Moss III. Skip Moss is how many people know him. That's his nickname. We'll be back with more after these messages.
6 at 7:30 a.m. on Dixie Country. Good luck and roll tide.
1490 WHBB. Our guest this morning is Mr. Johnny Moss III. Skip Moss. How's your father doing, man?
He's doing well. He's my campaign manager.
He's your campaign manager?
Yeah, he works. Yeah, he works hard during the day while I'm working, and then in the evening I relieve him. In the evening he goes and has, enjoys his cocktail at the sandbar somewhere. And then
I see him everywhere. I see him walking, all that. So he's staying in pretty good shape. How many kids do you have?
I have 2 kids.
And who's your wife?
Sharona Moss, and she's from Dothan, Alabama. So, and that's another thing. We go to visit Dothan every time you go there. There's a new restaurant, shopping center, retail, and so.
Well, a couple of years ago, Dothan was running a national ad advertising to Jewish families that they would pay them $50,000 to relocate to Dothan. And it must have worked.
So, they benefit from 231.
That traffic.
And you going to the beach.
Right.
They benefit from the beach.
Right.
But they still have their issues.
Right.
Like a lot of
everybody.
Like everybody does.
Which bringing us back to all right. So your everyday worker, some of your public work workers and other workers that are not being paid what we would like to see them get paid. How would you approach that?
Yeah, again, it goes back to assessing the needs, and if we don't need as many as we claim we need through data and through the numbers, then hopefully we can increase their pay. I would also like to, for instance, we go back and talk about that workforce training. The community college system has skills for success training. These are 16-week short-term training. They have training for asphalt rollers,
Mm.
water treatment,
Mm.
and so these are things that the city could benefit from. So why not put a plan in place that if these workers go and obtain these extra skill sets,
Right.
then that's an you get a pay increase.
You get it. That's
Yeah, pay
right. Well, that
increase.
makes
And
sense.
also what you're doing. Now think about it. If we had asphalt, if we had two, three, four guys who were or ladies,
You could have your own equipment.
you could have your own equipment and you could start preparing these potholes and rolling these streets.
And that could become a profit center.
That
It took
could be
all these cities that need the same,
exactly,
but they can't provide.
Right, right.
How in the world is Marion? How does Marion have their own asphalt machine? They're doing their own streets.
That's the point. And also heavy equipment operators.
Mm.
So we could have all of this. We could train our own, and then now we can justify increasing your pay. And now that's an incentive. That's an incentive for the everyday worker or the workers who are in workforce or public works to go back and obtain these certifications. So now you can increase $2. Now you can start doing step increases, and now you're attracting more talented workers, and people know that you're training the city. I want all of our. So one thing about the community college system in Wallace, everyone has to go through professional development. You know, the community college system we have customer service training. We want to get all of our employees trained on customer service.
Mm.
We need a lot of people. A lot of people need to take advantage of this in Selma. A lot of our businesses should be
I
taking
know
advantage
that's right.
because everyone needs customer
So the
service.
cashiers will learn how to
Right.
smile
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
treat people
Exactly.
properly.
Exactly. And so we want to ensure that in HR that everyone has to have a standard of customer training or professional development every year. We want to change the culture in City Hall. We want people to be pleasant. Our citizens are our customers, and they should be treated as such. And so that's how you increase the pay. You justify it through step raises or professional development or citizens or workers obtaining other degrees, or not degrees, but other skill sets that benefit the city. If we had five guys trained as asphalt rollers again, now we can generate some funding. Now we can do some other things for our city. Heavy equipment operators. We need those people. We need those guys. Now we can go and start picking up all the trash and doing some other things.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's very important. And you're providing a better quality of life for your citizens.
What about transparency? We have charter is here, and we have a public access channel, but I don't see it being used by the general public.
Right.
And really, it looks like I don't know if it's being used by the city or not. What would your approach be in terms of transparency and disseminating information and the internet and infrastructure?
Right. A lot of candidates talk about this digital dashboard, but you gotta understand your audience. Everyone doesn't have the technology to be
They access it, huh?
access that. And so I don't want to overpromise technology because that costs. That costs. But we do want to be transparent. We want to get that information out to our citizens by any means and different measures of dissemination. And that goes back to the ward meetings. We want to consistently have ward meetings. We want to consistently have meetings with the citizens as from the mayor's standpoint, from the council standpoint. And so we want to make sure that we are disseminating information so everyone can obtain it. It's good to have all this digital technology, but again, you have to look at your citizens. You have to look at your community. We have an elderly community, and technology, they're not equipped with technology.
So what do you do for them?
You provide those opportunities, the other opportunities for them to come in and talk. You can put it out on Facebook. You can put it out in paper
Mm-hmm.
and deliver it to their offices or to their house, to their home.
Mm.
But sometimes people just need to be, you just need to talk to people, and
Mm.
that's where the ward meetings come in. That's where your podcasts come in play. YouTube channel.
Now, what about the water board? Because the mayor is also chairman of the water board, and there's been a lot of issues with the water.
And again, the same process that we're utilizing for city government to go in and provide financial audits as well as operational audits. Go back in and reevaluate what you're doing, making sure you're doing things correctly. Provide some customer service training to those employees, and then also just addressing the issues at hand and making sure our citizens get served.
We're running out of time, but I think we've got a question. We got a caller, a viewpoint. Okay, that caller's gone. All right. We haven't really had the lines open. People have known for a while about these races, and they have every opportunity to send questions in. And so I haven't really, done a big thing on that. Billy Young is coming up next, and that's a pre-recorded interview, and it's going to go over a little bit. We went into a lot of territory, about some things that needed to be talked about. This is your opportunity to, this is your time now. Say what you want to say, anything you want to address, and I'm sure that some of these forums, all kinds of questions.
Well, at this point, you ask the same questions over and over, and unfortunately, it's just some of the same people that attend every forum.
Mm,
But I guess they just want to be informed and they want to make the best decision.
right.
But at this time, we're at a pivotal place in Selma's history, and either we move forward or we just charter the same. We're just moving the same capacity that we've been moving in for the last 4, almost 5 years. Selma needs a mayor that can work with all people. We need a mayor that can pull everyone back into the fold. We got to put community back in our city. We can't do this alone. We have to have neighborhood cleanup days. We have to have community cleanup days because you can clean it up, but in 2 days, if people are still dumping trash everywhere, so we've got to change the mindset. We want people to feel prideful to live here in Selma. We want to go back and start. I remember when I was in school, you had the litter bug. You were trained as litter ambassadors. We want to create some campus ambassadors for their schools to teach students at a very early age about littering, and so that they grow up understanding that recycling is